Welcome to this video on the Batt-Latch, a solar-powered automatic gate release timer designed for pasture-based farming. In this video we'll show you how it works and explore some practical applications to highlight how it can become an important tool in your daily farm management that not only saves you time and money, but will also make your farming more enjoyable by reducing both stress on yourself and on the animals you farm. The Batt-Latch is a compact, solar-powered gate opener, weighing well under a kilogram, light enough to carry around in your pocket. Its internal NiCad battery is continually recharged by the solar panel on the back, making it virtually maintenance-free. You can pre-program the Batt-Latch with up to 4 gate release times per day for any or every day of the week. Its construction is robust, waterproof, and it withstands both very hot and cold environmental weather conditions. Every unit comes with a 24-month parts and labour warranty. Here's a typical Batt-Latch use: releasing of a dairy herd from a paddock for milking. As you can see, the cows are waiting patiently at the lane gateway behind the spring gate in anticipation of its release. They learn this routine quickly, usually within a few days or so. Typically, the Batt-Latch is strapped to the gate post using the supplied webbing belt. The spring gate is attached to the Batt-Latch by means of the spring gate's handle hooking behind the cam lobe on the Batt-Latch. Note too how the spring gate can be electrified using alligator clips and an energizer wire connected to an adjacent permanent electric fence source. At the program time, the Batt-Latch activates its internal gearbox that rotates the cam lobe on the outside of the Batt-Latch, thereby allowing the spring gate to release and spring well out of the way. The lead cows will then begin moving through the gateway, shortly followed by the rest of the herd, for them all to calmly make their way to the dairy for milking. Now let's meet the farmer behind this particular example, Matthew Luck of Sprent in Tasmania. Thank you, Matt, for allowing us to be on your property today and have a look at how the Batt-Latch works on a real working farm. Matt, can you just give us a brief history of what your experience has been with the Batt-Latch and how you use it in your daily management? Oh, first of all, perhaps just give our listeners get a bit of an orientation of where we're farming here.
Okay, yep. So we farm at Sprent, which is on the northwest of Tassie, just up behind Ulverston. We milk about 180 cows. It's only me and my wife. So yeah, we've had the Batt-Latch. We've probably had it for over 10 years, sort of thing. Used it in a variety of uses, sort of thing. Mostly at the moment it's set up, especially of a morning, that you set it for a time, and by the time you get to the dairy, the cows are there ready and waiting to go. Then you just got to clean up and gather up the few stragglers to get them home. Over the time we've used a number of different roles. We've used it as far as that goes. At times when we've been feeding off fodder crops, they'll go to the fodder crop an hour or two before the dairy, have their fill of the turnips, rape, whatever.
So you release them onto the crop?
Release them onto
Yep.
the crop, yeah,
Yep.
so they can come home to that when we've got it set for. And also we autumn calve here sort of thing, so sometimes feed can get tight through the winter time, so we actually sometimes when we're milking we'll set it again after the morning on the laneway somewhere and just hold them up till you get about 3/4 of the way through milking, and then you let them go so they all get an even crack at the grass or the silage that you had.
So you just program it to let it go that 3/4 of an hour later?
An hour later after you so you can be milking for an hour, get the majority of them milk sort of thing, and then they can all go to the paddock virtually as one sort of thing.
Yeah, everybody gets a fair lick of the heating too. Yeah.
So like I said, so there's a number of different uses that we've used it over the time sort of thing, just depending on the season and where we're at. But beauty of it, especially with the fresh cows, at times if you leave it long enough you don't even have to go and get any cows. They're virtually all at the dairy, so it's helped a lot with quite a bit with feet and legs there sort of thing. They you don't put the pressure on them, follow on them at all, so they take their time and can pick and choose where they actually walk, so that's been another big benefit.
Thank you very much, Matt, very appreciated. The Batt-Latch is not just for releasing cows. It can be used, for example, to hold the herd back after milking. This can ensure all stock, including the heifers and the less dominant cows, can get to enjoy their fair share of fresh pasture or supplements. In the instances of pasture or crop break feeding, multiple Batt-Latches can be set up sequentially, either to release the stock over multiple breaks or to release them into adjacent paddocks or the laneways for access to other paddocks. This is particularly handy for management in a runoff situation. You could, for example, pre-program multiple Batt-Latches to release 2 to 3 days apart, effectively reducing the requirement to go to the runoff to as little as once in every 10 days. And this can result in considerable time saving and vehicle running costs. The Batt-Latch can also be used successfully in sheep farming, like on Chris Ensor's Richmond farm in North Canterbury of New Zealand.
Alright lads, so this is the break that they were moved into last night. We're at the Batt-Latch gate release setup, prototype, whatever. So basically they're on two shifts a day. They shift themselves the second time of the day, in the day. Here's the little Batt-Latch. I use a Kiwi-Tech corner post. Oh, it's just gone turned off. Use a Kiwi-Tech corner post to butt up to the old fence. So they're going to work their way across this paddock here. You can see if you look here, it says good battery, job 1. It says 12 o'clock, but that's because it's still on daylight savings time. So it's 11 AM that's going to be moved. And that's it. We're at 9 o'clock this morning. Basically it's a 5 metre gate. Every now and then, if they're all packed up when they go, you can blow out this corner post. That's why I've got a couple of extra standards there to make them go wider. But they're usually spread out and one of them discovers it. I put the salt pretty close to it. Sometimes I'll put a salt block right next to the gate. I haven't this time because they've learnt it pretty well. That's it. Good afternoon everyone, Chris Ensor here at Richmond Farm. I just managed to time this pretty well. With these girls, the Batt-Latch had just gone off and a couple had put themselves through but the rest hadn't. And I went down to see if they were going to come and they saw me and came through. So this is what it's like, all but what it's like. A shift is like without anyone interfering. So this stock self shift, and it's from a point where there's quite a good vantage point. So The nice thing about it when it's a long break like this is you don't get too many running up and down the fence, and also you can see that they're not going to blow out that little gateway there, which has had that little spring release on it. So yeah, you can kind of get an idea that it works quite well. When it's a square paddock, there'll be a bit more of a rush from what I've seen from a distance. If I get too close, it often mucks with it, and they can just pile up on the fence side before it opens and blow it out. But if it's like this, it's a reasonably orderly manner. They shift themselves, so yeah, here they come up through the gorse and a bit of hay that was fed out a couple of months ago. Anyway, they're obviously reasonably content because they're not in as much of a hurry as they sometimes can be. This is the third shift of the day, so yeah, quiet. So yeah, there's a few that are heading up that fence line the wrong way, but they work it out usually. Particularly the ewes. There'll be a few lambs that might be left, but with a short break like this, hopefully they'll sort themselves out pretty easily as well, pretty well, without me having to come along and sort them out.
Another application of the Batt-Latch is for management of horses. Here we see the Batt-Latch used in conjunction with a modified retractable gate. The retractable gate ensures safe movement of the horses through the gateway without having any risk of injury to the horse's legs. Horse owners typically use the Batt-Latch to control access of their horses to pasture feed, something very useful when they are requiring to manage the weight of their horses or to restrict them to access of spring pastures, too much of which can lead to laminitis. Another innovative use of the Batt-Latch has been to dispense dry feed to stock, in this case through the use of an upside down 200 litre rubbish bin and Batt-Latch pipe gate adapter. The Batt-Latch pipe gate adapter is a very useful Batt-Latch accessory for uses that require more than just the release of a spring gate. The adapter consists of a sturdy steel frame that can be hung onto a pipe gate or bolted onto a wooden gate. The kit comes complete with a solid chain hook and a modified cam lobe to put on the Batt-Latch. The Batt-Latch fits into and is secured within the pipe gate adapter's frame, which is in turn secured onto the gate itself. At release time, the modified cam lobe activates the boot latch system, allowing the gate chain to release from the frame and thereby allowing the gate to swing open or closed, typically aided with the use of a shock cord, spring, gas strut, or even offsetting of the gudgeons with the aid of gravity. Applications of the Batt-Latch with the pipe gate adapter typically include use in beef and cattle situations where a spring gate would offer insufficient containment ability for the stock in hand, or with the break feeding of horses, or use with the capturing of feral deer, goats or pigs. The use of securing free-range hens at night, or another use has been with irrigation water in border dike situations. Examples of how the Batt-Latch can improve your bottom line. Most farm tools, while increasing farm productivity, also tend to involve a degree of work when using them. By contrast, the Batt-Latch is one of those rare farming tools that when used is actually likely to lessen the amount of work it involves you in, while still improving overall farm productivity. Let's take a few minutes now to quantify these potential productivity gains in terms of monetary payback period. And we'll consider three scenarios. Note that in 2025, a new Batt-Latch, complete with spring gate, typically retails for around 520 Australian dollars, exclusive of sales tax. Arguably, the most common scenario for Batt-Latch use would be that of releasing a dairy herd from their grazing pasture in order to allow them to proceed towards milking. And let's assume in this exercise that this involves twice a day milking. The use of a Batt-Latch for this purpose would typically save at least 1 hour's labour per day. So if we pay a good farm hand a nominal $30 an hour, which after we account for the cost of superannuation, insurance, accommodation, allowances and annual leave, that really comes closer to at least $40 an hour. Therefore, the potential savings in labour we can put at $40 per day. This represents a payback of only 13 days. And note that this doesn't even take into the account any savings that might be had for farm vehicles that might have otherwise been involved, for example the farm bike or quad or even ute. So let's now consider another typical Batt-Latch use scenario, and that is using it to facilitate shifting of stock at the runoff. And let's assume that this involves a 20-kilometre round trip. We should assume that the running cost for a ute be accounted for, and the tax office suggests this should be at 85 cents per kilometre to allow for wear, tear and depreciation and fuel. Let's also assume that there's 1 hour's labour involved, both in travel and doing the job, which would be probably pretty conservative. So the total potential savings per trip, if Batt-Latch is used, would amount to $57. Payback period would involve just 9 saved trips. The final scenario I'd like us to consider is one of which the Batt-Latch can provide major benefits, and that is in the reduction of herd lameness. Determining the payback for this is not so clear cut, however it is still worth analysis and discussion. We know that many dairy farmers report a significant reduction in the incidence of herd lameness after having used the Batt-Latch for even one season, when they use it for releasing the cows to milking. The reason for this reduction is simple, because using the Batt-Latch is shown, as referred to earlier in this video, it allows the herd to move at its own pace, all calmly and without stress, up the raceways towards the dairy. The prime cause of cow lameness for pastured cows occurs when a herd is pushed too aggressively along a raceway, particularly so if it involves an impatient or inexperienced cow herder. Driving a herd of cows too aggressively can result in individual cows subjecting themselves to unnaturally twisting a hoof in on itself, or having their hoofs slip over the greasy raceway surface, resulting in stone bruises or sharp stone injury and penetration into the hoof, all of which can lead to lameness. This situation tends to occur mostly at the back of the herd, at the sides of the raceway, where the surface of the raceway camber often drops considerably towards the fence lines, and sometimes there's drainage there. And it is here where individual cows, where they're herded too aggressively, have to fight to keep themselves on the track while still trying to keep their bodies from falling down towards the fence line. And remember that these fence lines often have electrified wires, and also having to contend with other cows. Unfortunately, it is often the heifers and the least dominant cows in the herd that suffer the most, as they tend to be the ones that bring up the rear. In terms of how much this might be costing farmers, there's actually been several studies done both throughout Australia and New Zealand pasture dairy farming, and they have shown that lameness typically costs between $500 and $1,000 per cow that becomes lame per year. So for a 400 cow herd with just a 5% prevalence, this could cost the farm between $10,000 and $20,000 annually. Now, it is not unknown for some herds to have up to a 15% prevalence in herd lameness. So this is significant. Some other additional benefits to consider that might involve the payback consideration are that when using a Batt-Latch, you're going to have less wear and tear on the laneways, the fences, the gates over time. Where the Batt-Latch is used to move cows on in a pasture to prevent pugging events, there's obvious subsequent savings in the better pasture growth that will arise, and savings in pasture renewal costs down the track. It's also worth considering where the Batt-Latch can be used for increasing the efficiency in harvesting of their forage. Now, it's known that allowing multiple breaks per day can increase the efficiency of transforming the forage grown into animal production. And this is because it ensures a consistent and attractive supply of fresh grazing to the grazing animal. Now, using Batt-Latches to automate this process is obviously an attractive option, particularly in productivity gains and in saving of time involved. So, in conclusion, the Batt-Latch has the potential to be a very cost-effective management tool for farmers that can help them enhance their productivity while at the same time saving them physical work. It's perhaps no wonder then that the Batt-Latch has also been called a portable solar-powered profit generator.